This is CBS 4 News This Morning.
It is 6 o'clock on Wednesday, July 15th. Good morning, I'm Frances Wang.
And I'm Carly Barnett. Maribel Rodriguez is off today. Thank you for making us part of your morning.
Let's check in with Lisette Gonzalez again. No matter what she has to say, we love hearing it from her. Oh, and it looks beautiful behind you, Lisette.
Yes, it does.
We're going to have to take some dramatic steps if we don't change the trajectory.
City of Miami Mayor Francis Suarez warning that shutdowns are looming if South Florida cannot slow down the spread of COVID-19.
This comes after Florida's Department of Health reports nearly 9,200 new coronavirus cases in the state. Nearly 2,100 are in Miami-Dade County, more than 1,300 are in Broward, and 30 new cases are confirmed in Monroe County. The rise in numbers brought Governor Ron DeSantis to South Florida once again.
He met with several mayors who conveyed a message to the governor. Help is needed to stop the spread. CBS 4's Brooke Schaefer joins us live from Miami now with the details of that meeting. Brooke?
And there is new information about the progress of a coronavirus vaccine. Biotech company Moderna says a clinical trial of their vaccine is showing promise. The company published the full results of its phase 1 study. It reveals the 45 patients who received the vaccine went on to develop antibodies against the virus. However, 2 injections were needed for the most effective response. Still, more research is needed. A larger trial is expected to begin later on in the month. If that is successful, regulators would decide whether to greenlight the vaccine. Moderna is now looking for trial volunteers in 90 locations, including here in South Florida. And South Florida's healthcare workers continue to feel the strain of this pandemic. Jackson Health System says 153 of its employees were out sick just yesterday because of coronavirus. 39 of those sick are nurses. The number represents a little more than 1% of Jackson's 13,000 employees. Now to the Trump presidency. The president is once again defending his administration's response to the pandemic. During a Rose Garden news conference, he announced a bill sanctioning China before then taking on his Democratic challenger, Joe Biden. As CBS 4's Natalie Brand reports, the president is also stirring up controversy with his comments in an exclusive CBS News interview about police brutality.
President Trump, CBS News, the White House.
Statistics show more white people are killed by police overall, but black Americans are killed at a higher rate. A recent study from the Harvard School of Public Health found that black Americans are 3 times more likely to be killed by police than white Americans. Tune into CBS This Morning beginning at 7 for more of Catherine Herridge's exclusive interview with the president.
Time now 6:11. Some international college students won't have to worry about packing their bags for home.
Coming up next, details on the reverse of policy that's letting thousands stay in the U.S. for the fall semester, even if their classes are online.
CBS 4 Weather with meteorologist Lisette Gonzalez.
It's Wednesday. Hump day means we're halfway through the week. So let's send it over to meteorologist Lisette Gonzalez with a look at our Wednesday morning forecast. Hey there, Lisette.
Hey, good morning, Carly and Francis.
Let's look at traffic. Carly, back to you.
Thank you, Chris. Time now 6:18. International students will be allowed to stay in the U.S. even if their schools move completely online because of the pandemic. After legal challenges from universities and several state attorneys, the Trump administration rolled back plans that could have had the students deported or would have made them have to transfer. Many of the 1.1 million foreign students in the U.S. say this is a relief.
It felt like victory at that point where we're like, okay, we've managed to make something a little bit more human and not let them treat us like we're just other contributors to the economy.
The rule now goes back to a policy from March that suspended limits for online education. The Department of Homeland Security declined to comment, but told CBS News the issue is not settled yet. We have new details this morning about the death of Naya Rivera. An autopsy shows the Glee actress died from drowning. The report from the Ventura County, California medical examiner says her death was an accident. According to the medical examiner, there was no evidence of trauma and no indication that alcohol or drugs played a role in her death. Rivera's body was recovered from a lake Monday. Investigators say she was able to pull her 4-year-old son back onto the boat before she drowned.
Time now 6:21. 2 iconic brands are teaming up for a new video game system that may be taking its users on a trip down memory lane.
And she went from the runway to her own talk show, and now Tyra Banks is headed to the dance floor. Details on the new gig in Trending Topics. Let's check in on the hot topics trending this morning on social media. Dancing with the Stars has found its new host and executive producer.
Yeah, Tyra Banks going from the runway to the ballroom. She's taking over the duties of Tom Bergeron as part of what the network is calling, quote, a creative refresh for season 29. In a statement, Banks paid tribute to Bergeron, saying, quote, Tom has set a powerful stage and I'm excited to continue the legacy and put on my executive producer and hosting hats.
And Kanye West is bowing out of the upcoming presidential election, but not before reportedly looking into adding his name on the ballot in multiple states, including Florida. According to a report, West began the process of having his name added to the ballot. Kanye reportedly hired a team of paid volunteer workers to get the proper requirements completed in order to be on the ballot, before then just suddenly dropping out.
And talk about doubling down on a blast from the past. Lego and Nintendo celebrating the 80s with a new Lego set, recreating the original Nintendo Entertainment System, all out of Lego bricks. If this looks familiar, you are definitely an 80s kid. The set includes more than 2,600 pieces and features an homage to Super Mario. The collection lets you build all the original parts of the console, from controllers to the old school TV set, which has a screen that actually scrolls. Lego retail stores and Lego.com will have the set for sale in August, and it's hard to imagine kids of these days not recognizing this system, Carly.
I want to know, does it have a Lego cartridge that you have to take out and blow on it and put it back in?
That would
These
be
are the questions
very
I have.
authentic.
Well, there's always great videos and stories to see online. Check out more of what's trending on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at cbsmiami.com/webextra.
And straight ahead at 6:30, the extension officially ends today. The clock is ticking for last-minute tax filers as the deadline inches closer.
Plus, we've heard how the coronavirus can impact your lungs, but what about your heart? What doctors at the University of Miami have learned about the disease next.
And taking a live look outside on this Wednesday morning, will we see another day of heat and storms? Lisette is here with your forecast.
Now, I'm not a betting woman, but I would say probably yes. 6:30 now on Wednesday, July 15th. Good morning. I'm Carly Barnett. Maribel Rodriguez is off today.
And I'm Frances Wang. Thank you so much for making us a part of your Wednesday morning. So that's a good thing. It's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. Lisette, how's it looking out there? Heat and storms, are we right?
Thank you, Chris. We have a look now at some of your Wednesday morning headlines. The mayor of Hialeah is upset that he wasn't invited to a roundtable with the governor and other mayors. Governor Ron DeSantis met with several mayors in Miami-Dade yesterday. It was a discussion about concerns during the pandemic. The leaders also gave suggestions on improving communication, and they spoke about ways to slow the spread. Well, the governor says the mayor of Hialeah didn't make the list. They also say the mayor declined an offer to meet with the governor after the roundtable. And today is the last day for Miami-Dade parents to pick their learning preference for this school year. They'll decide if their child will physically return to school when the county enters phase 2, or if they'll learn remotely. School officials say they will use the answers to coordinate their plans for when school is scheduled to start August 24th. Moderna is now looking for trial volunteers in nearly 90 locations, including South Florida. The biotech company has published the full results of its phase 1 vaccine study. It says all 45 people who received that vaccine went on to develop antibodies against the virus. However, 2 injections were needed for the most effective response. A larger trial is expected to begin later on this month. And Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg is waking up in the hospital this morning. The 87-year-old was admitted to Baltimore's Johns Hopkins Hospital Monday. A statement from the court says she will undergo several days of treatment for a possible infection. Justice Ginsburg was also hospitalized back in May with a different infection.
Now to a CBS 4 News health alert. Right now, most of our concern with COVID-19 is how to prevent ourselves from getting it and stopping the spread.
But cardiologists at the University of Miami say we also need to be looking ahead to the long-term effects on the body. They're proposing a study and further research to see how the virus impacts specifically our heart.
As people here in South Florida try to flatten spiking COVID-19 statistics, medical experts say we need to also turn attention to how the virus can affect people down the road, specifically heart health.
Well, everyone appropriately is focused on the acute treatment of COVID-19 and the prevention of COVID-19, which is so important. We're looking to raise the flag that, hey, all these millions of people who've had the infection, and maybe some people who've had some heart damage.
Dr. Raul Matrani with the University of Miami's Cardiovascular Division says while we may think of it as a respiratory disease, that's not the only consequence.
We know from early studies that up to 20 to 30% of people who are in the hospital with COVID-19 can have some cardiac manifestation.
Of course, since this pandemic is something new we're dealing with, there's a lot of research that still needs to be done.
We looked at past viral infections of the heart to see how people recover. We also looked at how the heart generally recovers from inflammation or stress.
In an article he wrote for the journal Heart Rhythm, Matrani says researchers need to plan clinical trials to study patients after they leave the hospital to gain more insight. That way, they may be able to intervene and prevent potentially long-term heart issues.
A lot of people do get it. They have minimal to no symptoms. They seem to recover quickly. But we don't know if there's any subtle damage to the heart or lungs. And we may not know that for months or years later, or we may never know that. So it's incumbent on everyone to try to prevent getting the disease.
For those who have been hospitalized due to COVID-19, some signs that Dr. Matrani says to be mindful of are unusual shortness of breath, irregular heartbeat, or chest pain. Now, he says those may not necessarily indicate a heart issue, but says it would be worth a visit to the cardiologist. Other studies have provided evidence for lung problems and worsening kidney function due to COVID-19, but whether or not these issues are permanent has yet to be determined. 6:49, a Massachusetts couple is now husband and wife, and it's thanks to a little last-minute help from state and local officials. Matt and Naomi Kaliath were set to read their vows, but the Reverend never showed up for the wedding. So this happened in Everett, that's outside of Boston. The bride's mother notified the city's mayor and asked if he had the authority to marry them. Luckily for them, a quick phone call to the lieutenant governor made that possible, granting the mayor emergency justice of the peace status. The mayor recalls just how smooth and easy it was to marry the two.
It was a great, very easy. It was right on the cell phone. I was able to just scroll through.
The happy couple are both doctors, making their way to new hospital jobs.
Well, I guess they had the right people in the right place at the right time, and that makes it very memorable, right? Having the mayor there.
Exactly. You know, I guess the Reverend was double booked or something.
Yeah. Oh, gotta check his calendar. Former Miami Heat superstar Shaquille O'Neal may be known for his powerful play on the court, but now he is adding Good Samaritan to his resume. Shaq assisted a family after being involved in a crash following a tire blowout on I-75 just outside of Gainesville. The Alachua County Sheriff's Office says Shaq pulled over to make sure that the driver and the family was okay. He also stayed with the family until two deputies arrived on the scene, even fist bumping them before driving off.
Could you imagine? But see, this is not the first time Shaq was a good Samaritan. He's always doing good acts of kindness for people. So
and we love to see it.
We have another check of this morning's headlines coming up next.
And a reminder as well, if you see news or weather happening, take a picture, send it to us. Our email is cbs4pics@cbs.com. You may see your pictures on TV or online.
Before we go, a quick wrap-up of your Wednesday morning headlines. Governor Ron DeSantis made a South Florida stop to meet with mayors from throughout Miami-Dade. On the same day, the county reported nearly 2,100 new cases.
They discussed their concerns and what the mayors say needs to change as the number of coronavirus cases keeps climbing. But the mayor of Hialeah says he was not invited, calling the move disrespectful. The governor's office says not every leader could be invited, and that Hialeah's mayor declined a meeting after.
And today is the last day for Miami-Dade parents to pick their learning preference for the upcoming school year. They'll decide if their child will return physically to school when the county enters phase 2 or if they will learn remotely. In the meantime, Broward School Superintendent Robert Runcie says the rise in cases makes it unsafe to return to school next month. During a board meeting yesterday, he said instruction will be 100% e-learning if conditions do not improve.
A promising development this morning in the search for a coronavirus vaccine. The experimental vaccine was developed by Moderna and the National Institutes of Health. Researchers say the 45 people who received it now have so-called neutralizing antibodies key to blocking infection. Still, more research is needed. A larger trial expected to begin in the next couple of weeks. Moderna is looking for volunteers in nearly 90 locations, including here in South Florida.
And while the world waits for a vaccine, the director of the CDC is calling on everyone to wear masks in public. Director Robert Redfield says masks are the key to stopping further spread of coronavirus. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has stripped the CDC of control of coronavirus data. That means that starting today, hospitals are to bypass the CDC and send patient information to the Department of Health and Human Services.
That's a look at traffic. Carly and Francis, back to you.
Chris, thank you, and we thank you at home for joining us on this Wednesday morning.
Yeah, Carly, it just flew by. Can't believe it is almost 7 a.m. already. Everyone, please have a safe day and a great one. We'll see you later.